Recorded Books presents an unabridged recording of Forever Young, My Friendship with John F. Kennedy, Jr., by William Sylvester Noonan and Robert Huber, narrated by Adam Grupper. This book is copyrighted 2006 by William Sylvester Noonan. This recording is copyrighted 2006 by Recorded Books. For 25 years, Billy Noonan and John F. Kennedy, Jr. were best friends. Sharing an adolescence in Hyannisport, Massachusetts, the two frequented beach bonfires and the Monday night yacht club dances, took road trips, shared albums, sneaked cigarettes on the widow's walk of John's house, and scored beer together. And as they grew older, John and Billy never lost the connection they forged in the Kennedy compound as two young boys who had both tragically lost their fathers. This is their story. And now, Forever Young.
Introduction. One cannot have grown up Irish Catholic in mid-20th century Boston without at some point crossing paths with America's most famous family. There were many Irish families I grew up with that were wealthier, wilder, or more religious than the Kennedys, but none more famous or powerful, and none that left a wider wake. Long before I was born, my uncle played football with Robert Kennedy at Harvard. My father, Tom, was recruited by him to campaign in 1952 for his older brother, John F. Kennedy, then a young congressman who wanted to become a senator from Massachusetts. My father forged a personal relationship with both John and Robert. The connection evolved from Brookline neighborhoods all the way to the White House. Tom Noonan served in the Kennedy administration and played golf with the president when I was just a young boy scrambling along the dunes in Hyannisport. So it was natural, probably inevitable, that John F. Kennedy, Jr. and I would become friends. Our friendship was rooted in the fact that our fathers were contemporaries, political allies, and friends. And the bond grew, as we did, in the shadows of these absent men. My father died when I was 13. Our friendship extended back to the days of Secret Service protection, teenage dances, and trying to score beer. It continued into our adult life of careers and marriages. I was his oldest and most trusted friend, something John told me many times. My role in his larger-than-life family has become clearer to me as I think about him now, as I think especially about my need to write about him. I was as close to John as his closest and most trusted cousins, Timmy Shriver and Anthony Radziwill. I shared a friendship with all three. I was an usher in all their weddings, and all three were involved in mine. We were like a foursome in golf. Since John's death 7 years ago, I have said little about him publicly, partly because comments I did make were edited down to irrelevant trivia, and partly to honor John's privacy. Recently, however, I realized that it was time for me to reveal the guy I knew, that in fact I had to. Many of the books and articles about him do not capture John at all. For a man who spent his whole life being photographed and written about, who was largely accessible to the media and then became part of the media, John, the real John, remained elusive. The myths are abundant, of course, and began from the moment he was a little boy saluting his father's casket. They continued to his death at age 38, and now beyond. Sitting down to write this book, however, was difficult. It is rooted in my culture and background to follow a certain edict. If you aren't going to say anything nice, don't say anything at all. This is age-old Irish advice, and it's a good idea to follow it. There is, however, another cultural tradition. The Irish are great storytellers. So I felt caught between two ingrained parts of my personality. But something else is pushing me to speak. I believe that the stories, the true stories, of the people we love create the meaning of their lives. I shared, as John's friend, his struggle to establish his own persona. He had enormous pressure.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?